Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever episode of the Honor the Land show, presented by Big Play Sports. I am Max Loeb. This is Chef Zay, giving you all the Browns updates and content that you need to go on with your week with a minimal amount of panic, although we are starting right in the middle of free agency, and there's a lot of panic. Jerome Baker's coming. We don't know what to expect there. Nick Chubb, we don't know what's going on there. The quarterback situation, we don't know what's going on there. Zay, how are you feeling about everything as we enter another week of uncertainty in free agency?
I am so ready for all of this stuff to be over because I don't know how much more draft talk I can handle. I don't know how much more Nick Chubb I can handle. I just want to know what we're moving into, and let's just get it going because all of these tweets and videos, it's starting to get under my skin a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like there's a new story every day. Every other day there's a story. The story's not true. We saw the Deion Sanders stuff with saying he wants Shedeur to go to New York. He straight up said in an Instagram comment, that's not true. We saw the Brandon Ayuk stuff that like 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, didn't seem true. And now there's more smoke. Maybe there's some fire there. Every single day it's something new. I don't know what to expect. Tomorrow we could see a new quarter. Maybe the Browns trade for, who knows, guys? Who knows what's going on? I do want to bring up the Brandon Ayuk stuff, though. I was a hater. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit of a hater. Still kind of am about this whole Brandon Ayuk situation. Hater in the sense that I didn't think it was real. Hater in the sense that I still don't really know if I want it to happen. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And it certainly seems like it's real right now, isn't it?
There's one thing about Andrew Berry that we know, and that's that year in and year out, he's always making the push for a wide receiver. Now, the first report that apparently that they were sending out there was a 4th rounder and a starter. What starter? But the one that they want is a 3rd rounder. And that's where I'm just like, look, now we're getting too high up in the picks. It's obviously last year the talks were Greg Newsome and Wyatt Teller. So if it's one of those guys, it would hurt to see them go. I could also see it. But I really am hoping that they could get him for cheap if they do get him in.
If it is a starter, because I do think it'd take a starter, would you rather trade Wyatt Teller or Greg Newsome? Because I look at the Niners situation, and I think they need guard more than they need DB help, especially when it comes to the inside. They already have a guy in Diamador Lenore who's one of the best slot guys in the league, and that's what Greg Newsome is very good at. He knows he can play on the outside, but he's better in the slot. I think they would probably lean Teller. If I'm the Browns, how do you look at what they've done with the offensive line the last week or so and say, maybe they're pushing Teller away? I don't know.
And that's what that signing kind of made me think of. It's like, that was weird. It's like I was expecting to see a tackle, and it wasn't a tackle. And I'm like, we saw Wyatt Teller be thrown around all last offseason. Same with Greg Newsome. They're both, I believe, I saw it would work somehow where they both save money. I know Greg Newsome is, $13, $14 million cap hit this year. I think Wyatt Teller's on the books for somewhere around that, maybe a little bit more. You asked me where I would want to go with that. I kind of think I would lean towards Wyatt Teller, but after seeing how bad our offensive line was last year, it scares me to let someone go like that when you don't got Callahan, who was the best that we've ever had.
No Callahan. Lots of question marks about Zach Zinter, who I still am a very big fan of. I like Zach Zinter, and I believe in what he can do at the guard position. I'm with you, though. It's so scary to look at that offensive line without arguably your best offensive lineman in Wyatt Teller and be more confident in a bad unit. Because last year they were not good. We all know this. I think more issues at the tackle spots than inside. But I just can't bring myself to say, yeah, I'd be okay if Wyatt Teller was gone. Especially in the DB room where you feel like you have depth. You've been able to draft really well at the DB position the past couple of years as well. I don't think they will trade anybody for Brandon Ayuk, to be honest with you. I don't think they should trade anybody for Brandon Ayuk. But if they did, I think it would probably be Greg Newsome before Wyatt Teller, right?
Well, the thing that scares me with the Greg Newsome thing is I had Greg Newsome on before, and he mentioned how dangerous that they were. The reason why he moved to the slot was because of the fact that they're most dangerous when all three, Emerson, Ward, and Newsome, were all on the field at once. So taking away a guy like Newsome would hurt tremendously, but like the Andrew Berry going to get himself a receiver, we know how good he is at finding secondary, whether it be late in the round or in free agency or however that might go. So it's kind of one of those things where you just got to trust AB in this situation.
You got to trust AB, and we're going to talk a little bit about AB when we come back because we have Never Sunny in Berea, the Cleveland Weather Report for 3 specific people in the Browns building. We'll see you soon on Honor the Land, presented by Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. This is Chef Zay. we are entering one of our 3 patented segments for the show. It's called Never Sunny in Berea, where we attribute weather reports to 3 pre-selected Cleveland Browns, not just players, front office, coaches, and we talk about them and we give our answers. Our other 2 segments, pretty much every week, we're going to have some type of interview on here, and then we're going to do a mailbag segment where we can answer your questions, you who are watching this right now, to get everybody up to date and share our perspectives on what you are thinking. But I don't want to beat around the bush. Let's attribute some weather reports, and there's no better person to talk about. I talked about this 2 minutes ago. Andrew Berry. You have to give a weather report to Andrew Berry right now. Sunny, rainy, cloudy, storm, anything. There's a lot of different weathers. What are you saying for Andrew Berry, especially the Chubb stuff and the quarterback stuff?
I think I'm gonna go with the Cleveland end of winter / spring.
Okay.
So what that means is it's like one day you could look outside and it's like 65 and sunny, and then the very next minute it can be sleeting outside. And I think he's kind of in that middle boat where it's like, okay, he's done some pretty solid things, but we're still waiting on the Nick Chubb ball to drop. We're still waiting on the quarterback ball to drop. And if you're going to run into week 1 with Kenny Pickett, it's probably going to lean closer towards the winter side of things right now. So I'm kind of torn between that end of winter, beginning of spring feel.
I like that. I'm going to also do like the transitional weather, but I'm going from, or the time period between that fall when it's like a perfect 50 and the 30 to 20 degree day you get at the end of November, because you know for a fact something is coming and it's probably not going to be good. Guys, we're all holding out hope for the fact that Nick Chubb is coming back. The Browns are going to get Russell Wilson or Shedeur Sanders, and they're going to hit this draft out of the park. We don't know. We don't know what's coming, right? When you wake up on a Thursday and it's beautiful out, 50 degrees, you can't wait to watch Thursday Night Football with your friends. You watch it the next morning, it's like 30 degrees. You're like, well, it seemed better yesterday. The uncertainty is almost pleasant, to be honest with you guys, because if Nick Chubb signs with, God forbid, the Dallas Cowboys or a team like
Steelers.
I wasn't going to say it. But yes. That drop-off, that 50-degree to 22-degree day is going to be ridiculous. Like, I can't imagine the scenes in Cleveland. It's really just that one. Like, quarterback, I don't know about you, Zay. Like, I am open to a lot of different things. We're going to talk about it in the next segment, but I am open to a lot of things at the quarterback position. It's the Chubb thing that really scares me, especially with Andrew Berry.
Well, we could be talking about -2 degrees, 40-degree windshield if Chubb does not sign, and it kind of scares me about I know we got a couple mailbag questions that we'll get into with that, but I think that might be the biggest thing that dictates how this weather is going to go the rest of this offseason. It's the Nick Chubb ball. I think a lot of people can either get on board or get off board with the quarterback thing. Pretty much everybody in Cleveland, about 75 to 90% of Cleveland is all in on bringing back Nick Chubb. There are those few that are like, oh, he's washed, he's older, this and that, but it's going to be a cold day in Cleveland if Nick Chubb is not wearing brown and orange.
I'm with you. We're going to take a turn to our second person here, Kevin Stefanski. I'm going to take this to start because I have noticed over the past, let's say 2 months before or after, all the coaching firings happened. Kevin Stefanski was stapled down. He is going to be the next Browns coach. All the attention went elsewhere. Everybody's looking at Andrew Berry. Everybody's looking at Tommy Rees, Myles Garrett. So I'm going to go ahead and say it, guys. I don't know how you feel. I think if I had to attribute a weather report to Kevin Stefanski right now, it's sunny. Just based on what everybody else is doing, everybody else is bringing the mood back, bringing the mood down. He's up here. It's sunny with Kevin Stefanski right now. That's just how I feel.
I kind of was thinking that when I was going over this, and that's why I went partly cloudy. Okay. Because it's never quite fully sunny with Kevin Stefanski unless you're one of those guys that are, oh, he's the 2-time coach of the year, and nothing could go wrong with Kevin Stefanski, when in reality, it's like, there's some problems that we got here. But like you said, there's nothing really been going on in the quarterback sense. Like you mentioned, everything is kind of elsewhere. So I'm going to sit with the partly cloudy thing, and I think part of that goes to the with Andrew Berry with the weather is like, they weren't at Cam Ward's Pro Day, and that's the most recent thing that we have with Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. So it's not raining. It's not now. It's just like I see that sun poking through the clouds right now.
The sun is poking through, and I want to ask before we get to our final player, is there anything he could do to bring the weather down right now? Because, like, there's nobody talking about him, and rightfully so. It's the offseason. Is there anything he could do?
I don't think so. He's kind of actually been behind the scenes. He wasn't even at Myles Garrett's presser. And Andrew Berry was, which I thought I didn't want to make a big deal out of it because I don't think it is a big deal. But why isn't the coach at your best players signing that you guys made cupcakes for and put dinosaurs on the thing. Like I don't know. That kind of threw me for a loop. But honestly, there's nothing that he could do unless he's saying that, no, he's already said he's doing the play calling. So no, there's nothing.
Yes, nothing. So Stefanski's off the hook, but you did just bring up Myles Garrett. That's our final
Mhm.
player here, guys. Weather report for Myles Garrett amidst, I guess, really the trade saga, but the presser,
Mm-hmm.
the interview with Andrew Siciliano after, and
Yep.
then everything that's come from that. What are you giving him?
If we were in Florida, I would say it's a typical Florida day. It's sunny
Yes.
and then
Yes.
rain. You know what I mean? And I think the rain comes in where it's like he didn't want to be here, but that check came, so it's all sunny. $40 million per year. How could it be thunderstorming? How could it be raining or snowing? But just like typical Florida weather, there's always that little rain, and I think that little cloud hovering over him where I don't know if he was forced to stay in Cleveland, because you're not forcing yourself to take $40 million, but knowing how adamant he was about doing anything he could to get out of Cleveland, I think it's a little rainy over Myles.
I think rain is a great way to put it, but there's this specific feeling. It's often in the summer. It's like 70 degrees. It's been sunny, like you said.
Mhm.
The clouds come over, and you start to smell the rain.
Yeah.
Like you start to feel the rain coming. I don't know what is coming. It honestly kind of leans into what I said with the first point with Andrew Berry, but like I feel like something is coming with Myles Garrett. I don't know if it's a big trade. I don't know if it's his hand in the quarterback situation, but you feel something's coming. Like you feel a domino is about to come. And sometimes rain is good, right? Sometimes rain is good. Flowers
April
need
showers
rain.
bring May flowers.
Exactly. Sometimes you need rain, right?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, Myles Garrett, it's such a weird scenario where you were so publicly outspoken, and it's hard to blame him, to be honest with you guys. It's very hard to blame him about what he did, how he went about his business. Obviously, everybody's got their 2 cents on what he could have done differently, but the principle in this, it's not inherently wrong, especially for a guy who's trying to maximize his prime. But like saying all that, doing all that, signing the deal, like it doesn't sit right. Does it sit right with you?
That's like you said, what is the something? Because you go from saying that you were willing to do anything and everything to get out of Cleveland, and then all of a sudden you're signing this contract, and then you're going on the podcast with Andrew Siciliano, and he says he has an idea of what that quarterback could be.
What could that be? Like,
What exactly are you hinting at here? Because there's no way he sat down at a table like we're sitting at right now, and he's like, hey, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm so confused on what are they hiding behind these closed doors that we don't know? And that's one thing, a lot of people like to bash the laser beam Barry and all of these things. But, like, one thing this organization has done phenomenally since they've been in the front office is keep things under wraps.
Yeah.
They don't really let things leak out.
Yeah.
So for them to keep this the way that they are, it's very intriguing to me to know that something is going to come. It's just a matter of what exactly is it?
yeah, I'm 100% with you. And anybody who's watching this, there is no shot that Kenny Pickett was slid across Myles Garrett's desk as the guy.
Well,
Next segment, we're going to talk about our top 5 quarterbacks, and we're going to give our 2 cents. Say, I don't know about you. I'm going to have Kenny Pickett in my list. I'm not going to lie. I am going to have him in my list. But at the end of the day, there is zero, not a shot, that was the quarterback situation that was slid to Myles Garrett. Whether it's Shedeur Sanders, Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson, Cam Ward, whoever it may be, like, that is a completely different story. But there is no way that was what was presented to Myles Garrett.
I mean, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, though. What do you mean?
Gosh. I will say, I think Kenny Pickett gets a bad rap, and the whole like Steelers thing is pushing him away from the Cleveland Browns fans. But we'll talk about that in the next segment. We are going to give our top 5 quarterbacks leading into week 1 for the Cleveland Browns. You need to go win your week 1 game. Who do you want out there? Next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. This is Chef Zay. This middle segment will usually be an interview, but when it is not, when we don't have an interview lined up, we are going to give you a top 5 or top 10 list based on the happenings of the Cleveland Browns. And there is no better list right now to make than the top 5 quarterbacks you want suiting up for the Browns week 1. All you need to do is win your week 1 game. I don't care about the future. I don't care about week 15. You need to win week 1. Top 5 quarterbacks. Who do you want? Zay, I'm going to start with you with 5. We'll go back and forth. You can start with your 5. There's a lot of options. We're including rookies here as well, But Zay, your 5 spot for your top 5 quarterbacks.
5 spot, we're going to go Carson Wentz for our 5th spot.
Okay.
I think that Carson Wentz has a lot of experience in the league. I actually am having PTSD thinking about the week 1 where he was drafted to the Eagles, and I just vividly remember betting on the Browns to beat them, and then him coming out and absolutely destroying us. So if there's a quarterback that needs to go out there and have a better showing to show that he can still prove it, give me Carson Wentz at 5.
Carson Wentz at 5. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I didn't even think about Carson Wentz for my list. I do want to give an honorable mention before I give my 5. Shout out to Jack. Riley Leonard. I think when you look towards guys later on in the draft, everybody, especially Browns fans who are Ohio State fans who watch Ohio State football, says Will Howard. Riley Leonard has been very impressive, at least to me, at the Senior Bowl. From what we saw towards the end of the playoffs. Honorable mention to Riley Leonard, late round guy. Jackson Dart, obviously, too. But number 5, I know a lot of people aren't going to like this. Say, I don't think you're going to like this. I am going with Kenny Pickett. I trust Kenny Pickett to take care of the football. I trust Kenny Pickett to at least make good decisions. He's been there before. He's played recently. Like Carson Wentz was obviously MVP Carson Wentz like 6 years ago. We don't know.
Was it that long?
It was that long. It was a long time. That was the last time the Eagles won it all.
He was balling.
Yeah, he was. And there's no doubt that he can still do that, right? I just trust Kenny Pickett a little bit more, and I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I trust Kenny Pickett to take care of the football again, to make the right decisions, and I think he's going to thrive in a scheme like Stefanski's. Play action, what you can do in the run game. Can you complement a quarterback like that? If they build up their offensive line, they can. A lot of this hinges on the offensive line. But I'm going with Kenny Pickett at 5.
You know, you mentioned Kevin Stefanski's offense. I think Carson Wentz honestly could fit Kevin Stefanski's offense really well. We've seen 2 gunslingers come in Jameis Winston and Joe Flacco, and Carson Wentz is a gunslinger.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that's not afraid to throw the ball downfield, it's going to be Carson Wentz. Now, more liabilities, of course, with the interceptions and stuff like that. But when you talk about Kevin Stefanski's offense, as long as he can pick it up, I don't see why anybody really couldn't thrive. We saw P.J. Walker win games in his offense for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's true.
But with 4,
let's hear it.
You want me to take over for 4, or you want to go first?
You go 4.
Okay, let's go 4. Not for 25, 30 million per, but Russell Wilson.
Okay.
I know it's a lot of jokes surrounding Mr. Unlimited. But, I mean, this is a guy who can still play football in this league. Everyone's, well, he lost the last games. I mean, if we're talking about the playoff game that he just played, they didn't lose that game because of him.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. So, a veteran can pick up a system, has played in the division, knows what it takes to play in the division. Week 1, going to have a lot of juice flowing. I mean, especially if week 1's at home and you got Mr. Unlimited, he going to want to get those fans riled up. So give me Russell Wilson at 4.
I like that. I like Russell Wilson and what he can bring. Well, he's on my list, obviously, too, but we'll talk about what that means, especially with the Jerry Jeudy connection. That was a pretty big elephant in the room in Denver, to be honest with you. My number 4, and, I hate to put him at number 4 right now because I think this is who it's going to be, realistically. I think it's Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur could come in and be the guy for the Cleveland Browns down the line, but at the end of the day, week 1, you need to go week 1, beat, let's say, the Pittsburgh Steelers, or beat somebody else in the AFC. I don't know if I trust a rookie to do that right away. It's not to say you can't trust him down the line. It's not to say that is the right pick with the number 2 overall pick, because right now I still think it is. But week 1, you need somebody to go out there. There are other guys to me on this list that I think would give you a better chance just to win that week 1 game than Shedeur Sanders would. Again, does not mean I don't want him down the line. Does not mean I don't think that's what the Browns should do with the number 2 pick. But need to win week 1, I'm not trotting a rookie out there. Or at least I'm not as confident trotting a rookie out there.
You know, when you put it that way, it's like, I don't know if I trust a rookie to go out there and do something that a lot of people couldn't do. But, you know, I wouldn't be against it, honestly. If he has the moxie, I think it's all about the character that you're getting at the quarterback position. When Baker Mayfield came in on that Jets night, could you imagine if Baker Mayfield came in week 1?
Yeah.
Like, that would have been ginormous. Yeah. So I really think it's on the character of that quarterback that comes in for week 1.
That's very fair.
But looking at number 3, I guess, since we're doing the week, I have to switch it up a little bit because I was going to go that direction.
It's okay. I'm starting to switch in my head a little
I'm
bit.
I'm gonna go Cam Ward.
Okay.
Now, obviously, Cam Ward is not likely, but it does seem as if Tennessee may be trying to shift things around a little bit. Maybe they're open to trading him. I think Cam Ward has a lot to learn. Obviously, still being a pro, I'm not saying that he can't do it. His arm is incredible.
Mhm.
The moxie's there, obviously. But I think the two guys that I have above Cam Ward would just you're getting experience, you're getting the moxie, and you're getting that feel that oh, the lights are here. It's time to get, it's time to shine. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Cam Ward at my number 3. What say you?
Cam Ward. We agree. We got
Okay.
one we agree with. I
There
don't
we
think
go.
we're going to agree on the rest of the list. But Cam Ward at number 3, to me, I think is the bona fide number 1 quarterback in this draft. I think when you look at raw tools, and no, I'm not just saying this because of the pro day yesterday or depending on when you're watching.
You sure?
This. Yes, I'm sure. I
Because
promise.
Zach
It looked
Wilson.
good. Oh, man. Don't get me started on
That
this.
ball was Zach Wilson-esque. I'm just saying.
Oh, my. All right. Brief intermission for this, guys. I have seen way too many comments, stuff like that, tweets saying, well, Zach Wilson did this. Zach Wilson had a good pro day. You know who had the 2 best pro days the last 2 years? Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud. So anybody who wants to pick and choose one throw from a Zach Wilson pro day, and I know you weren't being super serious, just like take the overarching part of this. Zach Wilson, to me, was not as good as Cam Ward was in college, right? Cam Ward produced a little bit more. To see that pro day throw, and again, cool throws. Zach Wilson's may have been better than Cam Ward's. It's just we can't take that too seriously. And again, I'm not saying this because of the pro day. Cam Ward was very, very good. Very good in college. He can ad-lib, he can make plays. But again, it comes back to not fully trusting a rookie week 1. And I think we're kind of on the same page with that too. I'm fascinated to see who you go number 2, though.
Before we get to number 2, you mentioned the best pro days. You also know who was the 2nd overall pick and who I'm going with for my number 2?
Here we go.
Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
This whole, Shedor's got daddy, he's a daddy's boy, and what's he going to do without Prime and all of this stuff? It's like, I am so not worried about any of the expectations being too much or the Cleveland. I call it the Cleveland spotlight.
Yeah.
It's not the Big Apple spotlight. It's not one of these big market spotlights, but there is a special type of light that shines here in Cleveland, and you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield had it,
Mhm.
and that's one of the most recent things that we've seen in the years with the quarterback, where it's like, man, why couldn't we had this 10 years ago or 15 years ago?
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with Shedeur Sanders as my number 2 to come in and win. I mean, this is a pro. He was made to be a pro.
Yes.
Coming from Dion, like I said, I don't think there's any light that's too big for this kid. So week 1 in Cleveland, it's gonna be like Jackson State and Colorado all
Yes.
over again. I'm coming into a new place, and we're gonna take over. We're gonna start this off right with a bang. And then if we lose 4 straight after that, then so be it. But this
So
is
be
week
it.
1.
So be it. I agree with you. And again, I actually think that's what the Browns should do with the number 2 pick. Love Shedeur long term, week 1. I don't know. That's part of my philosophy here. But I think what you said about him being ready for any moment, no moment being too big for Shedeur Sanders, is something that's so casually overlooked by everybody. Like the type of life that you have growing up under such a tiny microscope in such a big spotlight. I don't know if anybody in the NFL has had what Shedeur Sanders had. I don't think anybody's been under that type of microscope. I don't want to compare him to LeBron.
It's like
James.
Bronny. I was gonna say it's like Bronny James though.
It's like LeBron and Bronny. Nobody should have that type of microscope. And every little thing he does wrong, it's gonna get critiqued. And then every good performance, I don't know if you saw, I believe it was last night, 39 points from Bronny James. Nobody talks about it. So that's what's going to happen. The microscope's very real, and I think Shedeur Sanders is the guy for the Browns at number 2. Do I want him, even if they draft him starting week 1, and I feel confident in that? Not as much as my top 2 guys. My number 2, and I keep going back and forth on this. As we've been talking, I've been going back and forth on this. I think it's Joe Flacco. Now, I think there's a little bit of delusion with all Browns fans, including myself, just watching what Joe Flacco did at the end of the year 2 years ago, the Flacco fever with, a similar, I guess, supporting cast. You felt that. You felt the belief. You felt the culture throughout the entire team really be built up with that guy who's won at the highest level before. I'll explain why I have somebody else over him at 1. But looking at Joe Flacco, you want him to step in right now, week 1. He's had success in Kevin Stefanski's system. He's not afraid to throw the football downfield, and you got Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman to go get that football. And the reality is, if anybody watched it really closely at the end of 2023, I know we were just like bashing on the offensive line for how bad it was. It was better last year and probably will be better at the start of 2025 than it was at the end of 2023. Like, it was bad watching some of those tackles at the end, like bad watching some of those tackles.
We were down to like our fourth tackle at some point during that.
Yeah. So the reality is, even if you think Joe Flacco's a little bit older, even if you think he may not have it, even if you think the ship has sailed, the infrastructure around him, at least in my opinion, is going to be a bit better. But we each have one more quarterback to talk about. I think we know who each other's one is going to be. Take it away, Zay.
Your number 2 is my number 1.
Yep.
I've been Team Flacco since the end of the Houston game. Everybody, well, what about all the intercept? Okay, you guys want Jameis Winston, who threw just as many picks in 4 games than he did the entire time that Flacco was here. We're talking about a guy who took the locker room by storm. I talked to Juan Thornhill. I talked to Greg Newsome. These guys said when Joe Flacco came in, he wasn't this guy that was trying to win you over. He just came in and made it happen.
Yeah.
And I believe Juan Thornhill was the one that said he was carving up the ones the first game on scout team.
Yeah.
On scout team. That means these are guys that aren't even playing at their natural positions coming in, and he's carving up the defense.
Yep.
So, and I also seen the report that he picked up the offense in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about a guy who was on his couch, came in, and went on a magical run. Imagine having this guy go through an entire training camp, an entire offseason, getting to mesh with Kevin Stefanski, knowing that you've had a guy at your number 1 position who can come in and win games, who the players adore and love. You're talking about David Njoku going back to being one of the top 5. You're talking about Cedric Tillman getting those passes again, where it's not just 5-yard out. We're talking about 15-yard ends that is in between 2 defenders. Obviously Amari Cooper's not here, but I can't imagine Jerry Jeudy's going to do any worse than what that is. So it's almost like it's a seamless transition. And I think as long as you don't have the spotlight of Shador or someone of that nature behind him, that's where I think it kind of gets in. But if we're talking about week 1 and week 1 only, there is no better quarterback to go out there and suit up than number 15.
I like that. And I'm glad you brought up that point about Shador, because that was my philosophy for putting him below Russell Wilson. Say, I'm ready to get sussy for Russie. Like, I'm ready.
Oh, my God.
Like, I know there's been, and even you could probably find clips of me saying this. Like, the elephant in the room, mention it briefly, was that there was a lack of connection with Jerry Jeudy. I watched that Denver Broncos offense last year with Sean Payton, right, who was there when Russell Wilson was the quarterback. It is not, has never been, will never be a system where you pump the ball to somebody that many times every week. Cortland Sutton had his big target games. He did. It was when they played man-heavy teams. That was not always the way it went with guys like that, with guys like Jerry Jeudy. The reality with the Cleveland Browns is, this is the scenario, this is what's going to look like if Russell Wilson starts week 1. Russell Wilson will play quarterback. He'll be thrown to Jerry Jeudy. He'll be thrown to Cedric Tillman. He could be thrown to Travis Hunter. That's the reality. They're not taking a quarterback at 2. You have Joe Flacco in there, you're taking a quarterback at 2. I think, at least.
Oh, even if you're taking Russ at 2, there's no way they don't leave this draft without a quarterback, whether it be the first round or the second round. They would be doing themselves a disservice, and you're basically betting on a veteran to come in here to save your job.
Yeah.
You have one more crack at this, and that's
fair.
this year. Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. I think Andrew Berry's leash is a little bit longer than Kevin Stefanski's, but there's not a world that I'm living in where I can envision the Browns not coming away with something, whether it be pick number 2 or 33, or trading the 33, come back into the first round and taking a quarterback. So whether it's Russ, whether it's Flacco, whether it's UFC, NFC, Lakers in 5, it's going to be a quarterback in Cleveland.
Is it at 2? I don't know. We wait to see. I think there's less of a chance it is 2 if Russell Wilson comes in. I think that's a very real thing. Joe Flacco's more of a mentor coming in. Russell Wilson is a guy who produced last year. I want to make sure everybody knows that, too. He produced last year. He didn't produce in those last couple weeks without his number 1 receiver in George Pickens in a run-heavy offense. Everybody's got to make sure they know that. That we wait to see. Those are our top 5 quarterbacks. Week 1, Cleveland Browns, who we want to go win a game. We wait to see who they play, obviously, for a couple months. But let's get into your questions on Honor the Land, presented by Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back to Honor the Land, presented by Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. This is Chef Zay. We are entering our mailbag portion of the episode. As always, if you guys are not following us on the socials, it is at Honor the Land across Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, all of that stuff. Make sure you're locked in because that is where we pull our questions from. We have 4 questions this episode, all from you across those socials. Let's just get into it. The first question from J Bowers44 on Instagram. This is the big elephant in the room here. Will we sign Nick Chubb back?
Man, it's starting to get a little scary, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I think the tell-all is going to come from the draft.
Okay.
Where do they take the running back? Because I do think that they'll take a running back in this draft. Is it going to be a 5th-round guy, or is it going to be a 2nd or 3rd-round guy? If it's a 2nd or 3rd-round guy, might want to buckle up because that probably means Nick Chubb's not going to be back. I mean, I know, who is it? It's Jerome Ford, Kelly, and who's our other guy? Pierre Strong.
Yeah.
So Kelly could probably be the odd man out there, but I don't know if we've seen them go 3-headed monster before, right?
Yeah.
We've seen Dearness Johnson, Ford, or Hunt and Chubb, so maybe they could, but it also is kind of concerning that Nick Chubb hasn't had any offers. So I'm gonna lean towards yes still.
I'm also gonna lean towards yes, but number one, I'd be shocked if it got to the point where nobody signed him before the draft.
Right.
I could see a world where the Browns don't sign him before the draft, but if Nick Chubb is on the streets for another month leading up to the NFL draft, like that's a disservice to the talent he's shown over the past however many years. Like somebody's got to take a flyer on him. He can do the dirty work. He's not going to be your every down guy. We love him. That's the reality. He's not going to be your every down guy. I think they take a running back in the draft, probably in the first few rounds. It's kind of how it goes. But I think it's more likely than not he's back. We've seen everybody in the locker room talk about him being back. We've seen what he means to the community. Wouldn't be shocked, and again, I'm not Myles Garrett. I don't know what Myles Garrett said at the front office, but wouldn't be shocked if that was part of like the plan he came in with, the blueprint he wanted a piece of. I think it's more likely than not he comes back, and I think the fact that the market is not exploding like we thought it would is better for the Browns because they got less money to give.
Because J.K., I mean, there's still, like, your guy J.K. Dobbins is still out there. There's still some very serviceable running backs. I think the draft, you mentioned before the draft, I think it could be a domino effect for the running backs after the draft to see, because I think there's so many good running backs in this draft this year that maybe teams are waiting to see if some of them fall to them, and if not, they'll go hit the market and probably get them for cheaper than if they were to sign them before the draft. So
yeah, that's definitely a risk-reward thing with the running backs. I'm glad you brought up J.K. Dobbins, though, because we have so many free agents that are still available. It's kind of wild. Another question, though, from Jackson Teague on Instagram. The ideal situation. What is the ideal situation via remaining free agents and the draft to be a competitive team? Not a rebuild, a competitive team.
We're going back to our top 5 quarterback list. It's Joe Flacco.
Okay.
I mean, it lands on the quarterback position. There's not going to be a guy on the defensive side of the ball. There's not going to be a receiver or a running back that's going to come in and do Saquon-esque type stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're talking about being competitive, it has to lie at the most important position. And you can't just let Kenny Pickett be the guy, the one that thinks you're going to make you competitive. Not trying to throw anything against Kenny Pickett, but like, you have to know that position is solidified. And right now, it's not solidified. So I'm going to go quarterback position, and Joe Flacco's my guy.
Are there any other non-quarterbacks that you want? Because I feel like the Browns just, not entirely, but have kind of just dismissed the wide receiver, right?
That would be the other direction that I go, because I know we have another question of what positions do they need that are not quarterback.
Yes.
So I would probably go at the receiver position, because there are still some pretty good names out there if you want to go just off of names. Now, you lead that back into the Andrew Berry and how he operates and stuff like that. A lot of those guys are probably going to warrant 10, 15 plus per year, and that's not something that he necessarily does. He gets you for cheap, and he gets the most out of you, and then if you do get the contract afterwards, that's how it is. So, I mean, Elijah Moore's still out there. I know you love him. He's still young. Are we going to bring him back? I don't have a specific receiver in name, but if I had to go non-quarterback, give me a receiver.
Okay, I like that. I think receiver is the biggest thing right now, and then we have the non-quarterback question. I'll talk about another position there, but receiver, I think if you want to be a win-now team, mending the emotional bridge with Joe Flacco is also bringing Amari Cooper back. I think that is a very real possibility. If they want to bring Joe Flacco back, he could sit there and say, look, I didn't like what you guys did to me 2 years ago. Why don't you bring my number 1 back, and then I'll come back. I'm just saying, like, if Andrew Berry's sitting there,
together.
If he's sitting there, because Amari Cooper is not gonna warrant a ton of money, at least in my opinion. Hot take: I think Elijah Moore might get paid more than Amari Cooper this offseason. But I don't think Amari Cooper is going to get as much money as, like the Stephon Diggs, the Keenan Allens of the world, who were also older, but, took a step back a little bit last year. Diggs also coming off an injury, but I think they need to solidify the offensive playmakers. Could be a running back as well. I think they go draft before they go free agency, but they got to solidify the offensive playmakers because they have enough defensive depth, I think, to be good, and they just need, obviously, a quarterback. But
I was a big running back guy, and they did mostly that. But as we talk about this competitive position, you didn't bring back the most important guy, which was Joe Flacco in all of this, because you went all in on Deshaun Watson. And you saw how the disconnect was. And I always go back to that Jacksonville Jaguar game. I even mentioned it to you on the podcast before. Like, did you see when Deshaun Watson ran the ball in for a touchdown and none of his linemen went to him? Yeah. That's just something that you do not see. And I wonder if them not even offering Joe Flacco back kind of threw off the run it back situation. So maybe if they were, that could be a good point if Joe Flacco's like, hey, let's run this thing back for real. Bring back Amari Cooper. You gave me Jerry Jeudy on top of that. Like, this is exactly what we dreamed of. You know what I mean? So I would be all in on bringing Cooper back if it meant we got Joe Flacco to run this thing back, because you got Myles Garrett, Joe Patonio's coming down to his end, Wyatt Teller's being thrown around in trade talks. You still have your 3 defensive guys and at the cornerback position, which you need to make a run. So sign me up. Bring me Cooper. Probably what, 6, 7 million?
Probably
per?
less than 10. To be honest,
I'm down with that.
I think if there's an emotional bridge that needs to be mended, it is that. Let's go to our third question from Romane4 on X. Is the Brandon Ayuk thing real? Yes or no? We're not going to elaborate. Yes or no?
Yes.
You think so?
Of course it is.
I guess where there's smoke, there's fire, but why? Why?
Because last year it was Jerry Jeudy, and 2 years or 3 years before that, it was Amari Cooper. And it's just, there's one thing with Andrew Berry. He don't tell you. He just does. And the one thing that he does really well is get receivers for cheap. If it makes sense in the drafting room or in the trade aspect, it's going to happen. So I'm going to give me the crumbs that Andrew Berry left out and say he's either going to trade for one or he's going to pick up a name in free agency for cheap.
Okay, I got that. I'm going to say I don't think it happens, but if you were to have asked me this a week ago, 2 weeks ago, like I said at the top, like, I was like, okay.
Yeah, you're just yanking my chain.
We're training for Brandon Ayuk again. Like, now, where there's more smoke, there's fire, there's better sources on this thing. I think it's real. I don't think it happens, but I think it's real. Let's finish, though, with the question you alluded to earlier, Zay. What non-quarterback position do you think the Browns need the most? Let's go one on offense and one on defense.
I was going to say that I think the biggest one, I don't even think there's more position of need than what I'm going to say is the safety position.
Yeah.
They have 3 safeties on their roster, Grant Delpit, Ronnie Hickman, and Trey Dean III. You lost Rodney McLeod. You lost D'Anthony Bell to Seattle. They are hurting. There's no one behind Grant Delpit right now. Yeah. Safety is the biggest position of need, and I don't even think it's close. They addressed the linebacker position. They got Jerome Baker, and I think they'll probably get one in the draft as well. But safety all day.
Yeah, I hate to agree, but I do agree. Safety, 100%. Not only the depth, but just the overall talent and production. We haven't seen a lot of those guys produce. Justin Simmons is a guy, a veteran that's available that we can keep our eyes on. Somebody in the draft that I absolutely love, Nick Emanwari out of South Carolina, currently mocked.
Is that the freak guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Currently mocked end of round 1. Generally speaking, safeties don't really go till the end of round 1 unless it's some generational Minkah Fitzpatrick type guy. Another guy that I could see the Browns trading back up into the first round to get. But offensively, I'll go back to the receiver scenario. Look, guys, I know everybody wants to draft Shedeur Sanders at 2. If the Browns aren't in the mindset where they don't, or not in the mindset where they want to draft a quarterback, which I think they are, I think they're going to take a quarterback. I know everybody's pounding the table for Abdul Carter. Andrew Berry was the first general manager to say, I like Travis Hunter as a receiver, not a corner, a receiver. And personally, I think Travis Hunter is the best player in this draft class. I would love to see Cleveland get Travis Hunter.
Receiver's a good one, but I also think we need to go back to the trenches. Our offensive line was not what it needed to be. Jedrick Wills is still a free agent. You're going to need somebody at that left tackle position. So if it's anything, I just please do not trade back from 2 and then draft a offensive tackle, because I will flip and it will not be pretty. But I'm going to say offensive line because the trenches is where it starts.
Yeah, I do agree with you. If they traded back, Cleveland would be up in arms. But We appreciate your guys' questions. If any of you guys are watching who asked your questions, thank you again. If you're not locked into the socials, at Honor the Land on all the platforms, we will be taking questions the day before these episodes come out. You can turn your notifications on if you want, but we'll be posting stuff for you to ask questions. We're going to finish up with a brief Cleveland look ahead for the next week on Honor the Land, presented by Big Play Sports. Welcome back into Honor the Land, presented by Big Play Sports. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. We're going to wrap up this episode with a very brief look ahead to everything going on in Cleveland sports. We got Cavs guards, and believe it or not, there's some important Brown stuff coming up the next week. Obviously, the Cleveland Cavaliers been on that long road trip, lost 4 in a row, back in the win column a couple nights ago, but they are back home for the first time in about a week and a half this Thursday, which is beautiful to see. And the Guardians, as they are finalizing their roster, I believe this is the last full week without any Guardians baseball, but finalizing their roster, opening day home opener 2 weeks from today, opening day, I believe 9 days from today, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very quickly around the corner. But like I said, there's some important Brown stuff this coming week. Honestly, important football stuff. Tomorrow, or depending on when you're watching this, March 26th, the Ohio State Pro Day. Are there any Ohio State players you are looking at that you want the Cleveland Browns to select? I'm looking at Travion Henderson. I'm not going to lie.
That running back, either one of them is fine, honestly. But Henderson, that dude, didn't they compare him to Jahmyr Gibbs? I'd love me some Jahmyr Gibbs in my life. You know what I'm saying? Maybe high ceiling. I don't know. But, the running back, Sawyer, obviously. Yep. I think it just leads into the thing where it's like, just go get some Ohio State players. They've always seemed to pan out. Yeah. I mean, everyone's always talking about, well, Shedeur played against BYU or played against all these sorry teams, North Dakota State and da-da-da. Okay, we're talking about Ohio State. You can't go wrong when you pick the guys who have played the best of the best and also just coming off a national championship. So anybody from Ohio State, I'll be fine with. Ronnie Hickman, undrafted guy. He's a starter now. Mm-hmm. So just go get some Ohio State players and stop being scared. I don't know what we're scared of.
I'm with you. I think you got to go get some Ohio State guys. I mean, you got Mike Hall on the team now, too. Mm-hmm. I think the Ohio State blood can continue to run through the Cleveland Browns, and I'd have no issue with it. I'm looking at Will Howard. That combine performance, and I am not hating because I am one of the biggest advocates in the world for quarterbacks not throwing at the combine. But he had a bad performance at the combine, guys. And you don't throw because you don't have chemistry with the combine receivers, all this stuff. I get it. Now he's going to have a pro day with Emeka Ibuka. He's going to have a pro day throwing to guys he's been accustomed to throwing to. I don't know. Pressure's on.
Where at, though? Where at do you want to get him?
I'd be shocked if they got him in the first 2 days.
So you're okay. So you're Shedeur and Will Howard?
I think there's a world they take 2 quarterbacks, yeah. I don't know if Kenny...
It can't be that name, though.
I don't know. Well, what I was going to say, Will Howard, 26 tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this, the day after. My guy, my late round guy, Riley Leonard, Notre Dame's pro day is the 27th. So I'm looking back-to-back days for journeyman, quote-unquote, Browns quarterbacks who have done their time in college and now are looking to play in the NFL. I said it. I think if Russell Wilson's the Browns quarterback, I think it pushes him away more from a quarterback at 2. I don't think it's a death sentence by any means. We saw Adam Schefter say today if the Giants signed Russell Wilson and they actively had 3 quarterbacks on their roster, they still may take a quarterback at 3. So it's by no means a death sentence. But I'm looking at those 2 guys. And then March 28th is Penn State's pro day. Also very important. A lot of talent over there too. Some DB talent we want to look at as well. But I don't know. I am glued to Will Howard.
I'm not against Will Howard, but see, my thing comes back to just the expectation with Cleveland. And we know how, we don't listen to the fans, but somehow the fans always get their wish and everything. They banged on the table for DTR. They banged on the table for PJ Walker. They banged on the table for Joe. They bang on the table for every quarterback that's on our roster. And if you mean to tell me you're going to go in with Kenny Pickett, he'll get banged on the table for eventually. Yeah. You have Shedeur Sanders, you have Russell Wilson, and Will Howard. We're going to cycle through every single quarterback in the year of 2025. And I just can't, I can see a world where they go 2 quarterbacks, but I just don't think that's a PR situation that they want to go in, which is why we didn't see Joe Flacco back last year. Yeah. So if they go Will Howard, that means that they didn't go Shedeur at 2, and that would kind of make me upset a little bit because it's quarterback at 2 no matter what. If you love Jackson Dart, take Jackson Dart at number 2. Period. So just don't leave out of that second spot without a quarterback.
I know there are a lot of Browns fans out there that feel that Jackson Dart's the second guy. Hey, you know what? If they thought that, It would be the principle in their draft process
Mhm.
over anything, which I think all Browns fans would probably respect, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I don't know. I do think there's a world where they take a late round flyer on a quarterback. I don't know which quarterback it may be. Another fascinating guy, Quinn Ewers. Like nobody's talking about Quinn Ewers.
Or Mary Kay's guy, what is it? Tyler Shaw. What's his name?
Tyler Show. I
Tyler
would
Show?
be shocked if he made it to day 3. Shocked if he made it to day 3.
Oh, well, according to Mary Kay, she's gonna trade up to the first round. And like, what are we talking
I don't
about
know.
here, man?
I don't know, but that is pretty much everything going on this week in the NFL and college combine, college pro day world. The annual league meetings are conducted March 30th to April 2nd, so some more discussions about the potential rule changes. Nothing that the Browns proposed, nothing super crazy that would apply to the Cleveland Browns, but important to know. Zay, any final words before we sign off on the first ever, the pilot episode of Honor the Land presented by Big Play Sports?
Make sure y'all are locked in, okay? Because this is about to be something big. You see we got the Guardians Bridge as our faces, so we gonna hold it down for the land. So if you guys aren't locked in, and we appreciate all you as always, man. But just buckle up because it's about to get rowdy up here in Cleveland with all of this Browns news coming out.
Yeah, you guys can see the smiles on our faces now throughout the episode too. I can almost promise you that when I'm gonna say July, but like August rolls around, smiles are gone. Like that's not gonna happen. You guys got to stay locked in. We appreciate you guys watching and tuning in. We will see you next time.